We're privileged this afternoon to have a presentation that will share with us the practices in China. Part of this exchange, or part of this program, is the opportunity for exchange. While we're learning about, or our delegation is learning about the practices in Kansas and in the United States, we have the opportunity to also learn about the practices that are changing in China. And so that is the focus of our presentation this afternoon. I'm very pleased to present to you Dr. Zheng Fuming, who is a professor in early childhood education in the College of Education Sciences at South China Normal University. So I will pass
Thank you,
the podium over to you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude and our thanks for all the coordination Dr. Brown-Ifies has done for us, and the invitation of the university, and especially my mentor, Dr. Bill Meredith, and my friend Jerry, and some other friends, Matt and Tim, and many other faculty members for helping us in this whole process. And I took 22 directors of preschool programs from China to visit KSU this time, and they will be with you later. They're still having their lunch. And today I would like to share with you some of the information about early childhood education in China. And the title is Toward Diversification Early Childhood Education in a Changing China. And I will present for about 30 minutes, and we will have 3 other directors to present about their teaching practice in their kindergartens. And then we will have a section for questions, okay? Today's contents, we will talk about basically 4 areas of things. The first is the diversification, the trend of early childhood education development in China. And then we will talk about the environmental setting and children, and give us a case study. That's the daily life of a child, a typical day of the child. And then we'll talk about parental involvement in the educational process. So just give you a brief idea about where we are from. And we are from here, and we are now here, so it's that really, it takes us 15 hours to fly from Guangzhou to San Francisco and to Denver to Kansas City, and then eventually we get to Manhattan. Okay. So this is China, and we live here. It's Guangdong, and the capital of the Guangdong province is Guangzhou. So we are from here, okay, from Guangzhou, and the directors are from all over Guangdong province, okay. So that's where we live. And I would like to give you a brief introduction about China, and we say that China is now is now in the period of transition. There are many things about, well, we want to talk about China. The first is about economic. Well, since 1978, China adopted open door policy. So the economic system changed from planned economic to social market economic. And since then, the economic in China did grow very rapidly. So we can see from this graph that the GDP growth is, well, from 1978 began to climb out very, very fast. In these several years, the average the growth rate of GDP is over 8%. Well, but actually there's still many problems because a very large proportion of the growth of GDP was reliant on the real estate development, okay? But everybody recognized the growth of the economic. And the population is a big concern. In China, we now have 1.3 billion people. That's based on the statistics in 2005. So when the directors come to visit the United States, the first impression for them is that they seldom saw people on the street. But in China, you saw very crowded people. You see that this is a picture. All these, people are waiting to get into the railway. Okay. So you know that there's a big difference. When I remember yesterday when Brown White asked the directors whose kindergarten has the children over 500, okay, and every director has raised their hands. Well, they all have children over 500 children, and even one kindergarten has over 1,000 children in one kindergarten. So you can realize, you can feel the problem of population in China. That's the reason that China began to implement the one-child per family policy in 1979, and the structure began to change and actually helped China to control the population. Well, it helped the economic growth a lot. It saved the families and the countries a lot of money. And the total amount of money saved for the country in the past 30 years is equivalent to the total GDP in the year 2009. So it's a lot of money. However, there are also some problems. There are some emerging problems because of the implementation of this policy. And many representatives in the People's Congress in China realize the problems, and they do propose to change the policy a little bit, or at least to make some modification. Because if not, then the structure of the population will be quite challenging. Because the proportion of the elderly increased rapidly, and the labor force is a problem. Okay, some of the factories even could not find laborers. Okay, for skilled laborers for the business. And for the children, we call it the 4-to-1 syndrome. After the family planning policy, the so-called 4-to-1 syndrome is that because every family has only one child, and gradually there will be 4 grandparents, and then 2 parents, and then 1 child. Okay, that's called 4-to-1 syndrome. And the family policy, you can see this. Is considered the fundamental policy of China. Is here the picture say that it's good to have only one. Okay. And the family policy, I think that will be modified gradually because of the new challenge I mentioned about just now for the social development. So everything has a positive side and a negative side. Well, we'll see, depends on when it happened. Okay, so the policy will need to be adjusted according to the needs of social development. And I will talk about the culture. Well, the culture has a great influence on education, including early childhood education. And for culture, I would like to know, does anyone here know something about Chinese culture? Well, any figures in China which has a strong influence on the history of China? Well, the very famous one, almost the most famous one, is Confucius. Okay. In China now, the ideology of Confucius is strongly promoted by the government right now. 30 or 40 years ago, it was criticized and as a bad thing, but now it's considered a very good thing. And of course, it's traditional. There are also good things and bad things. Okay, so we will not say that Confucianism everything is good. but there are some good things inside it. And Confucius has a great influence on the value and culture of China. Say there's a 5 sacred relationship in China. People stress the importance of obedience of children to their parents. So in Chinese family, parent has strong control over the children, okay? And younger children need to obey older children, and friend is loyal to friends, and old people obey the emperor. Okay. Well, that's traditionally, but now it's been changed. The ideology is still there, but there's some change. Okay. So if you go to China, if you visit the preschool, you can feel the influence. That's the China in transition. And I would like to talk about some statistics about early childhood education in China. That's based on the information released by the Ministry of Education in China, to give you a brief idea about the whole picture of early childhood education in China. In the year 2008, there's a total of 134,000 kindergartens nationwide. It means that there are 134,000 preschool and kindergarten programs. And the average number of children in each kindergarten is over 200. Okay, we visit several preschool programs in the United States, and to our knowledge, each class has only 10, or the maximum is 12, right? In China, each class has over 30, and sometimes over 50 children. It's a very, very big class. And the number of newly enrolled children each year is 14.8 million, and it keeps increasing because the enrollment rate gradually climbed up. The total number of children in kindergarten in China is 24.8 million. That's a very, very big figure, based on the standard in the United States. And it also increased. The gross enrollment rate for children 3 to 6 years old was 47.3%, and it's getting higher. And among all these kindergartens, 62.2% are private kindergartens. It means that China, in the past, the majority are public. It means it's supported by the government. Right now, the government thinks that they allow the private to run the kindergartens. And so there are more and more private kindergartens. And that's the statistic. Well, statistics are very boring, but just give you some, idea. Okay, anyway, it's a very large system. Okay. And the system in China include the nursery center. Those nursery centers primarily serve the children from 0 to 3 years old. We call it the infant, or the infants and toddlers center. And these centers are primarily run by the private. Okay, and it's one of the biggest, I think that's the biggest business or whatever in the area of education in China. There are many, many people invest in this area. And there are also some separate or independent nursery school for children aged 2 to 3 years old. But these schools are usually under the supervision of the Women's Federation. Okay. The Women's Federation is not a government agency, but it's affiliated with the government. Well, when we talk about early childhood education, we will usually mean preschool and kindergartens. So there are several levels. In China, there are 5 levels in the preschool and kindergartens. The first is nursery class. The nursery class is for children 2 to 3 years old. call it, the next one is K1. We call it in Chinese, 小班, okay. And it's for children aged 3 to 4 years old. Well, I'll not go through this in detail because the other directors will talk about that and will give you some pictures and audios later on. I think that we like some pictures. we don't like that many description. But just give you some idea that the Chinese government, even though they try to kind of release the burden from the government and encourage the private to invest, however, the government still pay great attention to the development of early childhood education. So the central government regulate and provide a guideline for the development of early childhood education in China. So there's a guideline for early childhood education which is stipulated and published in the year 2001. And recently, just this year, the government published the guideline of the National Mid- and Long-Term Education Reform and Development Plan. Well, for those things that relate to early childhood education, the target is to increase the enrollment rate from 50.9% in the year 2009 to 60% in 2015. It means that there will be a great development of early childhood education in the coming year. Okay, so that's the plan from the central government. And in terms of administration, the kindergarten and preschool are under the supervision of the local government. So there's not national program. Well, we just visited the Head Start program in the United States. There's a federal finance program, but in China there's not federal program. All the preschool and kindergarten programs are local. Okay, it's locally funded, and gradually more and more are private run. Okay, so there are significant local differences because China, the coastal area and the central and the western area has a very big difference of economic and social structure. So in some areas, like in Shanghai, the government invests a lot. So the preschool and kindergarten develop very fast and the quality is much higher. While in the rural area, the quality is very low, and I will show you some picture later. Okay, so we talk about the public and private. And also in China, the kindergarten are, well, they're assessed annually. And there are several levels for certificates. So they will, for each kindergarten, they will award a certificate, a play. There are provincial level, municipal level, district level, and those without any certification. Okay, even though they are licensed, they are not certification. Just like this one, this is a provincial level. Okay, provincial level is the highest level. It means this is considered high quality kindergarten. So when the parents go to visit kindergarten, when they see the play, they know that this is a good one. And if the play is another kind, it's a municipal level or district level, the charge will be much lower. Okay, it's related to the tuition. And the basic philosophy of education in preschool and kindergartens, well, in the past, Chinese kindergartens stressed the importance of group playing, of collective vision. But now, gradually, the culture changed, so they are more diversified, and more attention has been paid to the needs of each individual child. So we come here to learn from you. When we ask the directors what are the most, well, the impression of their visitation, they will say, well, in America, the teachers really care about the need, the individual need of the children. That's what we want to learn from you. However, the theory are basically quite similar. The teaching is also based on the constructive vision proposed by Piaget, and the Vygotsky's theory, and the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence also has a very strong influence in the teaching practice. in China. Well, children are active learners. I would like to share with you some pictures, to show you some pictures. Say here, children are constructing, well, they use the newspaper, they roll out the newspaper and with tape, and to make this, and okay, so they are constructing. And they are doing experiment with the sand, you know, the grass sand, okay. They are working on the gasoline station, okay. So this, well, they learn by doing. That's the basic theory. And in terms of curriculum, in China, well, in the United States, there's not a national curriculum, right? Well, in China, there's a national curriculum. It's regulated by the Ministry of Education. And each kindergarten is expected to follow the basic guideline. And based on the guideline, there are 5 areas of contents. The first area of contents is physical education, okay, the PE. The second one is language. The third is science. And science we further divided into maths and science, okay. Well, these are the textbooks the children use in China. We also asked the preschool and asked them, well, many directors asked the preschool we visit today, is there any textbooks here? And the answer we got is no. Yeah, but in China, they do have textbooks. But right now, some provinces prohibit the use of textbook for children. So it's much more diversified. In some provinces, the government will require the kindergarten to use one kind of textbooks, okay? Well, because it's very profitable, okay, for some of well, in terms of business. But in some provinces, the usage of textbook is prohibited strictly. So it really depends. And in terms of science and arts, I would like to share with you some of the pictures about arts, because art is very, very, well, important in the education process of China. We brought several pictures, well, drawings by the children, and we exchanged the drawings with the Stone House preschool program. So I just want to share with you some of the things the children are working. Here is the studio, okay, in the kindergarten, and the children are working on joint painting. It's a very famous one in Guangzhou. So this girl is working independently. She's drawing a picture. And these are the artworks of the children, okay. And the children are using, use saws to make woods and then to put it together, and it's very creative, okay. I think the bill, I'll bring my visit the kindergarten, the Qiyuan kindergarten in Zhuhai. Yeah. Okay. And besides this 5 areas of course, there are also some other things that the kindergarten, because the kindergarten want to enrich their program so that they can attract more parents. They will have more children in their kindergarten. So they provide off music for children. That's very famous. That's very well known in China. Say when they use this, they will have a play. So if you go to China, visit the preschool and kindergarten, there's a lot of plays on the wall at the entrance, because that's a sign of their quality, that's a sign of their service. Okay. So to make it look very good. And Montessori method is also widely recognized and used in China. So there are many preschool who say that, well, ours is the best because we use Montessori method. And well, actually some of them just know the name of Montessori. Well, but there are several kindergartens which are very good in using this method to develop the sense, okay? We call it sensory integration and those things. And English, also, of course, is also very, very important in China. So if you visit the kindergarten, you can see the English letters on the ladder, and they put English letters everywhere, so that when children just walk around, they can learn, well, just by in their daily life, okay? And there are many kindergartens call them international. When they call it international, it means that it's very expensive. And there are also some interest classes. It means that the kindergarten and preschool will provide extra curriculum to enrich their curriculum. For example, the children will learn piano playing, will learn chess playing, will learn drawing, and some other many interest classes. But my interpretation is I'm not quite sure whether the interest is from the children or from the parent or from the teacher. So it's a kind of argue. And right now, the government is not happy with the running of the interest class because actually divert the attention of the regular teaching. Okay, so it's discouraged in China. And in terms of, we call it diversification, and the quality and the level of early childhood education in China has a big range. Well, in terms of, say, charge, and we also ask about the fees. Okay, we asked about how much the kindergarten charge for each child. The answer we got from the elementary school we visited today, and they tell me that it's about $62 per year. Well, the parents are so happy. In China, I need to pay, say, at least, well, the minimum in the rural areas is about $20 US per month. Well, you may think that $20 per month is not that much, but if you consider the income level, there will be a large proportion of their income, because in the rural area, the income of the ordinary people, well, it's just about let's make it into US dollar. It's about only $200 US per month. So $20 is a lot. And in the urban area, the tuition may go up to $800 US per month. Per month. So that's a big range. And the expensive one are usually called international kindergarten. Okay, so you can see that's they will let the parents know about how much they need to pay. Okay, it's 500. This is 500. That's 130 Chinese yuan. Okay, and this one is over 29,000 per year. So you can see that many big difference. This is the kindergarten in the rural area. Is remodeled from the elementary school because of the decrease of the population. Okay, so many elementary school has been remodeled to become kindergarten and preschool. And the teaching, you can see that because they don't have the money to buy fancy equipments. Okay. So the the teachers are very creative to make the instruments for children to play. And children use the trunk of the cassava to play golf. You can see they are playing golf. So yeah. And here is the very fancy one. It's called bilingual class and international class. When you see the sign, then you know what this means. You may be wondering, what's this? Well, Bill knows that. It's a kindergarten. Well, we thought that it's a 5-star hotel. But it's a kindergarten. It's a very fancy one. It costs over 5,000 Chinese yuan per month. And the children come from 14 countries, and the teachers come from 17 countries. It's really an international one. The teachers come from many, many different countries, and especially the teacher teaching English. So China, the kindergarten in China need a lot of teachers to teach English. Okay, and they have, well, hello America. Well, this is we call it the Young International Kindergarten in Zhuhai. Well, yeah. That's the brief idea I give you about the early childhood education in China. And so I say that internationalization, not just a fashion. Well, in China, early childhood education was influenced by foreign countries a lot. In the very beginning, it was influenced by Japanese model, and gradually influenced by European model, Froebel, Montessori, and now many, many kindergartens follow the model in the United States, okay, and especially the individualization. We think that environment is a very important part of early childhood education, and so many kindergartens invest a lot in the setting of the environment because we think that children's learning is quite different from adult. Okay, they learn in their daily life. So I would like to invite the directors from our groups and Director Guan to introduce their practice in the environmental setting. Okay. So Director Guan will talk about their teaching practice. So I'll pass it over to her.